All right, we're going to go ahead and start the May 12th Planning Commission meeting. First on the agenda, if we can all stand for the pledge of allegiance. This meeting is being live streamed. It is, yeah. All right, next on the agenda is open public comment. Anything not related to what's on the agenda? Yes.
Hi, just a quick question. Where are we in the zoning rewrite?
We're just talking about that.
This one's to work in a second. So it should be, I would say it's getting finalized. We had a land planning committee meeting back in April, and the consultant is putting the final touches on the draft. So I would expect to see something over the summer.
Okay, and specifically why I'm asking, just the news, the data center ordinances in the news throughout the Commonwealth. The township plans to hold off and incorporate any ordinance within the final approval of the zoning rewrite?
That's correct.
Okay, that's all I needed to know. Thank you.
But once we have the draft, we'll protect the data, et cetera.
Once it's advertised.
Once it's advertised.
Correct.
Okay. So nothing surprises.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. Next is the approval of the minutes of the April 14th, 2026 meeting. Any comments, changes?
Yes, Mr. Chair, after section 9, page 2, the last section, when we had our open discussion at the end of the meeting, I feel that that should just be word for word verbatim instead of summarized. It would be clearer that way.
It is on YouTube.
But it should
Recorded
be,
on
Right.
I'm not recording minutes word for word. I'm summarizing it on, that's how minutes are made up. I'm not a stenographer.
Okay. I disagree. I think they should be word for word because they're not.
Well, then, we don't have a stenographer. I'm just doing minutes and I'm summarizing them.
Minutes are never done that way.
We've never had formal minutes with a stenographer, and we haven't recorded.
Okay. It's just there were things here that were said that I think that were implied.
Doug, we've never had a word-for-word transcript. It's never been the way we've done this.
And minutes are not supposed to be a word-for-word transcript. They're a summary of the discussion, action, so forth that's happened at the meeting.
Right.
And there is a public record, and that was we're denying. Like you said, it's on YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah, at this stage, I mean, since we started that, what, this year?
You can go back and watch it
Further
word for
advanced.
word.
I still disagree.
Okay.
I do have an addition, though. I forgot to put the time that we ended. It was 9:34 p.m.
Okay, any other comments, changes? Any motion to approve? Second? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
Oppose. Oppose.
Those are opposed, Terry abstained. Who seconded it? I did. Okay. All right, next, no initial solo applications, lot line change for 620 Norman Lane and 701 South 5 Points Road.
Would you like me to introduce that, then I'll introduce the applicant?
Yes.
Okay. So before the planning commission this evening is a preliminary final lot line change at 620 Normal Lane and 701 South 5 Points Road. They're proposing to adjust the adjoining rear boundary between the two properties to the southwest, approximately 114 feet. The plan is to transfer property from 701 South 5 Points Road to 620 Normal Lane. Both properties are in the R3 zoning district. They contain one single-family home on each lot. There's no improvements or any construction proposed as part of the project. And there was a review letter provided by Chris Peterson and Carroll Engineering, as well as plans from the applicant. So I'll bring the plans up. Or yours.
Good evening, I'm Ryan Court from Chester Valley Engineers. Our client Matthew Ellis from 620 Norman Lane. We're proposing a lot line change, as Chris has said, between 620 Norman Lane and 701 South 5 Points Road. We are asking for a waiver for a preliminary final approval or recommendation of the lot line change plan. We're also asking for a waiver for section 72.24.2.a, which asks for installation of sidewalks since we're not doing any improvements to the site. And we're also asking for two partial waivers for section 72-17.c.10 of the West Goshen Township subdivision land ordinance, which requires existing features to be shown on the plan. And then also section 72-17.c.14, which requires a list of features to be shown on the conservation plan. We gave an aerial plan as in place of the conservation plan to show the surrounding areas and lots, as we do not have detailed survey of the area around the two lots. Both lots are proposed to be around 45,000 square feet, where the minimum lot requirement in the R3 district is 18,000 square feet. letter from Carroll Engineering. We will comply from April 28, 2026. We will comply with their comments.
Questions?
Why is that being done?
Actually, so we're 620 Norma, and then the Cantarellas are on 5 points. And short story is they saw my kids playing in the backyard and wanted to have more backyard to play in. So,
So
worked
they
out a little
approached
deal.
you and
Yeah, they
said,
approached me at Mother's Day last year, so 1 year anniversary of it.
There you go.
And yeah, it's, you know, we want the kids to play. We're not, no plans to put any structures or do anything. I just want more yard for the kids, so. Yeah.
You just offered to purchase a little bit of his land?
They approached us about it, but yeah,
You agreed? That's not.
pretty much, yeah. And then she said, you know, hey, make sure it gets done right. And to Ryan and his team, and
Okay.
yeah, she's like, it's on you, but if you do it right, it's yours, so.
It actually looks like more symmetrical, it's right down the middle.
So this is the aerial they provided, and this is the more like detail.
Pretty much bringing both of the people on.
They were both in compliance and they still will be, in terms of moving one side.
Yes.
What was the waiver about sidewalks?
The waiver. Section 72 of the West Goshen Township ordinance requires installation of sidewalk for all subdivision and land development.
And you're asking for a waiver?
Yes.
That's your waiver.
There's no sidewalk there. I mean, it's not like there's an end
There's
to
no
the
sidewalk in our
sidewalk.
backyards, no. We'd like to keep it that way.
So that's the gist of your waiver?
Yes.
It also says here there's a partial waiver in lieu of providing the required information. I'm a little confused on what the required information is.
Is that the full plan, all that stuff?
Is that more information that?
I think it's for like underground utilities that we can't survey from above ground,
Okay.
like laterals, like water laterals.
I think Carroll Engineering is okay with all this. All right.
Any other questions? Any public comment? We have a motion
I'll make a motion to approve.
to, anybody seconding?
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
Enjoy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Real quick, you guys will be on the agenda for the board of supervisors for their June 2nd meeting.
June 2nd.
So that'll be June 2nd at 6 o'clock in this room.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next is land development plan for 7 Brew Coffee at 829 Daily Pike.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Travis Odom. I'm the Director of Real Estate and Franchise Partner for Zep Group. We'd like to bring this to West Goshen Township. Are you pulling up the plan, Chris?
Sure. Essentially, just real quick, some background information for the planning commission. So this is a land development application for 7 Brew Coffee at 829 Bailey Pike. This is the site of the existing Aldi Shopping Center, and the original land development was approved by the Board of Supervisors on February 15th of 2022, with an amended land development plan approved on November 1st, 2022. At the time, the plan included an Aldi grocery store, Popeye's restaurant or retail pad site, and the grocery store and the restaurant have both been constructed. I'll allow Travis, I'll allow Travis to go into a bit more detail on the project, but overall, it is located in the C2 Commercial Shopping Center District, where a restaurant with drive-through services and permitted use by right.
Can you tell me your last name?
Odom, O-D-O-M.
set that I can bring up, so just tell me what pages you want.
Sure, yeah, it's the striping plan, it's the best way to, I think it's keep going, I'll tell you. It's the best visual for everybody to see and understand as I'm talking through it. Should be the next, right there, perfect.
All right,
Can you blow it up just a little bit more?
let's see.
If not, it's no big deal.
I cannot.
Don't worry about it, don't worry about it, it's all good. No.
But I do have, if you'd like, I have a laser pointer in.
So 7 Root Drive-Thru Coffee, just a little bit about us. We're a beverage-only company. We don't serve any food. We like to talk about that if Chick-fil-A and Starbucks had a baby, that would be who we'd be. Starbucks for the drinks, Chick-fil-A for the culture and the way that the order process is. So here is our building right here. It's a 510 square foot modular building. On the outside, there is a storage and cooler building as well here. The way that our process works from an operation standpoint is you come into the drive-through. You have lane 1, lane 2, and if we ever need the lane 3 is available as well. So all along, from like I was saying about the Chick-fil-A model, Chick-fil-A has tech. They use iPads. We do the same. We do not have a speaker box whatsoever. It's all done digitally through an iPad. We come to your car. We take the order through an iPad. It goes inside, and it's being made to order. So you could be ordering here, and you're moving along, and then you stop at the stop bar here on either lane, and then the drink would come out to you. Hours of operation are 5:30 in the morning till 10 p.m. Sunday through Thursday, and Friday and Saturday we're open till 10 p.m. Like I said, it's a pre-manufactured building. We bring it in, do the site work, and then bring it in. But that's a little bit about our operations as far as what we do is 7 Root. Any questions about that?
So you don't have people coming in the door for anything?
No.
It's all just cars?
It's all drive-through, correct. And the greatest thing about us is we are drive-through only. There's no food, like I said, so it's all on speed for us. So from the time that you order to the time that you leave, it's 4 minutes or less.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Where do your employees enter?
Enter the building.
Yeah, where do they enter the building?
There's a back door here. Back door would be here.
Okay, so when the employees come out to take the order, what's the route they take? Where do they go?
So there's several different routes. Majority on this property is going to come out this back door. There will be a sidewalk around here that they'll walk on, or the striping right there that they'll walk on.
Okay, so there is a sidewalk. How high is the curbing?
I don't know that off the top of my head.
6 inches? Is there a curb? Or
Yes,
is it
there's a
clear?
curb. There's a curb.
Any plans to place bollards to protect your building?
There's ballards here. There's actually a canopy. So we have a canopy right here, and the ballards are in front of the canopy and here right in front of the building.
Okay, on the left side where the nose-in parking is there a curb there? It's hard to tell from the
Yeah,
plans.
could you go, maybe go one back?
Circulation plan or there's a landscaping plan.
Yes, so this is curbing here. All this is curbing around the building. And these are where the parking, so yes, that answer is yes, there is curbing.
Okay, any plans on putting bollards at the nose-in parking in addition to the curbs?
No, sir.
How about your delivery trucks? How are they flowing through?
So they would either be in lane 1 or lane 2 or lane 3, whichever, depending on which one we designate that. And then it's always on our off-peak hours, usually in the morning before we even start service. And so they would be here, and then the delivery route to the cooler would be here. So that's how the truck would park in one of those. Be coned off, and again, like we said, we talked about our employees that are outside. We would help get cars around the car to make sure they were safely traversing through the drive-thru.
Just one thing to be mindful of for deliveries, we have a noise ordinance that regulates certain hours for delivery. So just be mindful of those hours.
What are they?
I believe they start at 7 a.m.
7 a.m.
And they cut off at, I want to say 9 p.m. but we can check that.
Yeah, there's a number of houses right next door to that one for, so that may impact them, so it's a reason for the orders.
No worries, no worries. We can get around that any which way possible. Yes, sir.
What are your peak hours?
The great thing about us is we were kind of an all-day business. 41% of our business happens before 11 a.m. and then 78% before 4 p.m. So we actually, because we serve not only coffee, but we have energy drinks. So people will come to us in the morning for their coffee and energy drinks in the afternoon. So it's a spread out.
The only reason I asked that, because I was out, I think, Western PA. I saw one of your stores out there.
Okay.
It was packed. I was quite frankly surprised.
Yeah.
And I know you were proposing this, but traffic was pretty, I mean, they were backed up all the way to where you go into the store.
Okay.
So what happens if they back up fast further than the 2 lanes? Are they going to be in the old parking lot?
Well, so this stack here, so just the first 2 lanes themselves is 24 cars, and the third lane will get another 14 cars. So we can get 38 cars on this lot. We're very mindful of that to make sure that doesn't happen. And the faster we get, the better we become as far as delivering the product to the car. We have, I don't know, something like 2,000 hours of footage, video footage from one of our stores in Mechanicsburg, PA. And over that 2,000 hours, for 1 minute on a Saturday morning at 10 a.m., we got to a peak of 24 cars. So just kind of give you some indication how fast we moved it. It got to 24 and then it all fell out.
So it's coffee, you're not making food, you're...
Just coffee. That's there's no third party ordering. So some of our competitors, that's what slows them down a little bit. They're working on mobile. It's you got to get in our drive-through to go, and that's how
The only place
we
people can give orders is at the store.
That's correct.
It's not on their phone,
Not on their
20
phone.
minutes ahead of time.
Nope, none of that. So it's once you pull up, you get your order, and then you go.
Are there any changes planned to the overall traffic flow in the shopping center there to accommodate you, or how do you see that flowing?
So we have an agreement with Audi and everything that this entrance here for our grand opening week, this will be solely our dedicated hour, and they will use this opening here. So that's how we plan on handling the traffic.
That's every day or?
Just the first week.
Okay.
Yep.
How many cars can you stack in a single lane where you order before it interferes with the circulation behind going into all?
So here is 12 cars.
No, but your order
So
to the left, right?
No, you can order anywhere in here. There's no speaker box
okay.
whatsoever.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so you could, if you're the first car in line, you're ordering here. Second car, somebody come to you here, and so on and so forth. So you could be all the way here ordering, or here, or here. But there's 38 cars that can get on our property.
How many people are on site as employees?
On a typical day, no grand opening or anything, 8 to 10 employees. And we'll hire 100 employees here.
Is this a franchise operation?
It is, franchise.
And if you get approval and all that, what's your planned construction start date, end date, what are you looking at for grand opening? Just generally speaking.
I think here we are, I think August is around our construction time frame, and then it's about 90 days. So Thanksgiving is kind of what we're looking at.
Yes, you mentioned that modular building. How is it affixed to the ground?
It sits on a 4-foot stem wall. So we'll pour a 4-foot stem wall around it, and then the building will put on top of it, and there's massive bolts that are bolted to it.
So it's bolted down.
Where are you originating from?
Me?
Yeah, just the whole general.
Sorry. Arkansas is where Seven Brew started in 2018, 16, somewhere 6 years ago.
And
Yeah.
how many are operational?
As of today, if
715.
715.
Wow.
She's smart as I am. They're not far at all.
Throughout the United States?
Throughout the United States.
You have a local administrative office that you're from? I mean, where you work?
I live in Reading, so I'm one of the franchise partners. We have in our franchise group, routine group, who is doing this. We have 17 locations open today. By the end of the year, we'll have 35 open throughout Virginia, Maryland, Pennsylvania, Delaware.
And you're with corporate?
She's my wife.
Oh, okay, so you guys are together.
She's the smarter of the bunch.
Travis, the delivery hours and noise ordinance are 7 a.m. to 9 p.m.
Great. Is that the noise ordinance for everything?
Yes. So that's where, we have a specific section related to the loading or unloading of trucks or other motor vehicles, and it's regulated from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. The only exception for that is trash collection, which can be at 6 a.m.
Okay. That won't count for the cars that are in the driveway, right?
That's just the loading and unloading of trucks.
Where is your trash? So it'll be accessible?
It will be, I think. Okay, I'm sorry, could you go to another
Which,
right there is good. Right here.
Okay.
So they'll come in, get it, and then leave out the third lane.
So it's going to have to be scheduled as opposed to business hours?
Not necessarily. I mean, again, so we talk a lot about stack. Our normal stack on a normal day, you know, it's going to be like 10 cars, and so there'll be plenty of room for him to come in and circulate. And then again, what we call our taxers are trained to do is they're also trained to help move cars, hold cars, so they can do what they need to do and circulate through.
You don't see any issues in restricting him now to come before 6?
We're there at 5 o'clock, and you can, I prefer him to be there and get out of the way, but
Yeah, the concern just is if before 6, you're the neighbors again.
yeah, we'll schedule it accordingly to the ordinances, because we have that.
I think last time you were here, you also had a landscaping plan too. That's still,
Landscaping plan, it should be in there, right there. I know there were some comments about the rock bed, and I think we lighten that with the greenery. Grass.
the other question was last about lighting. So the lighting will be contained to your property because we do have residences
Correct, yes.
50 or 60 feet from you.
Correct.
I'm sorry, you mentioned that. How many employees do you anticipate hiring with this?
100. A lot of people to shovel out coffee.
As far as the traffic circulation and interfering in relations to the Aldi, you mentioned an arrangement with Aldi. Can you repeat that, please?
Just our grand opening week, we'll be using this, all of our traffic will flow through this entrance.
Just the grand opening week, and then after that,
It'll be, yeah, however they want to do it.
Are all of your locations this model with the drive-through configuration?
Yes, sir.
I'm a little concerned. It's a small area. To me, it's a bit small to have that much vehicular activity.
All 715 locations fit on less than an acre. Some of them are half acre.
Are they in this close proximity to other businesses?
Yes, sir. We have a State College location that has 14 stack because of how the landlord wanted it inside of a parking field out in front of an office. So what landlords like about us, we're small, we can create a lot of extra revenue for them.
Any other?
Question. How do you handle inclement weather? If it's pouring rain, crew running out to your car, pouring rain, snow, take the order?
Yes, and
And
yes.
it's not covered, they're out there in the elements?
Correct. Well, there's a canopy, so there will be a canopy here.
Right, where you pick up the coffee.
Right there.
Order.
We have the pods, little bubble pods.
Okay.
We have those. We have heavy-duty winter jackets, gloves. hot hands when we take care of our staff any way that possible can. We rotate, rotate it in the winter time. We rotate every hour so they're not out there. But they love being there. So our employees make really good money on the tips. And so the thing is, if it's raining or it's cold or whatever, customers are liable to get more tips, so they run out there and have no problem. In the summertime, we put out a sprinkler and they have fun with it.
And one more, how many cars do you expect to go through there on a day's time?
As many as I possibly can. No,
What is an average, on average?
I think average is like 600 a day. But it's
Spread out over 10.
all day, yeah. I mean, we're open from, so what is that, 12, max, probably right now, 17 hours. So.
Are you going to have an arrangement with the Aldi, like the chicken place, so that your customers don't occupy their spots if they want to park and have their beverage?
No, sir, we sure don't. I mean, that's...
There's not going to be any arrangement or agreement with the other businesses about the parking?
No, we have our own parking internally for our staff, but if someone goes off our property and parks with a beverage, I can't control that. Or if they got an Audi and they got prosciutto ham and they come over to us, or chicken, I mean, that's nothing I can control. I mean, we wouldn't say anything to their customers either.
But again, they're not walking up in a fashion, correct? Even if they got something from Popeyes, they're driving over.
Correct.
Any other comments? Questions? Any motions?
I'll make a motion that approve this.
Second. Any public comment? Hearing none. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Opposed?
Thank you.
So,
Thank you.
Travis, just like the last application, will be on the June 2nd board agenda, which is at 6 o'clock in this room.
Okay, sounds great.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Have a great night.
I have something I'd like, not you, I'm sorry. When people are answering, could you use your microphones and, or those that don't have them, speak up for the hard of hearing? Please. I appreciate you using the speaker, the microphone. Thank you.
All right, so nothing for zoning hearing board, no conditional use application. Next is discussion of proposed amendment to the West Goshen zoning ordinance pertaining to historic resource protection.
So, before the planning commission is a proposed amendment to the township zoning ordinance pertaining to historic resource protection. So just a couple of things to be mindful of with this ordinance. This does not create what is known as a historic architectural review board, because the intent of this is not to unduly burden property owners. The intent of the ordinance is to allow the historical commission to document properties deemed historic or significantly modified or demolished. It's also designed to address what's known as demolition by neglect, essentially where a property owner has allowed a historic property to fall into deteriorating condition. And it just provides an additional tool for our enforcement team in addition to the International Property Maintenance Code. And then finally, it doesn't create a historic overlay district in the township. Michael, did I hit on everything? Thank you. So the board and the historical commission has been working on this for quite some time. I've been here since 2021, and this has been discussed since that time period. And I believe there was an earlier iteration of this several years ago. So a joint meeting, once it got into a format where it could be discussed, a joint meeting was held with the board and the historical commission on February 26th with the property owners that are on the attached resource list. And it was authorized for advertisement by the board at their May 5th meeting. Just to recognize the fact that we're undertaking a comprehensive update of the township zoning ordinance, which is nearly process, and depending on how the timeline works out, this may be considered for adoption as a separate ordinance, separate standalone ordinance, or as part of the update to the zoning ordinance that's currently underway. I circulated, I did give the planning commission an updated version. There was one small change in the recommendation of our solicitor, which is under section 84135D, which states exemption for properties in conservatorship. It says properties subject to a court order issued pursuant to the Abandoned and Blighted Property Conservatorship Act shall not be subject to the provisions outlined in the section except for the requirement to obtain a demolition permit. So essentially, even though they are under conservatorship and they're exempt from these requirements, they still have to go through the demolition permit process with our codes department as required under the building code.
So this affects properties that have been identified as historic, but not necessarily registered as historic?
So the chair of the Historic Commission, Michael Pilligali, is here in case you have any specific questions. I know he's been working on this for some time. So they put together a list of resources. I believe there's around 73 of them. To the best of my knowledge, they're not. Only one is on like a national registry. The remainder are what's been deemed by the Historic Commission to be of historic significance based on certain criteria. And I think a lot of it has to do with age of construction. Is that correct, Michael?
Repeat that last line.
A lot of it has to do with the age of construction.
Yes. That list was created, if I can speak here.
Yeah.
The original list of homeowners was created in 1981 by a woman by the name of Martha Wolf, who was sent down from the state to categorize class 1, 2, and 3 properties in Chester County. So she did a survey in West Goshen. At that point in time, I was on the park board, and we were doing a comprehensive plan, and I then took her list and added to those. She didn't have every single house listed that we knew of. So that list was enlarged a little bit, but all those houses that you see on the list basically have come from 1981 listing. All 18th century, early 19th century. Only one, as manager said, is on the historic property list, and that's Collins Mansion on Goshen Road.
That's the national register.
National Register, yes.
I'll say this, the Historic Commission, they started off with a longer list. We kind of went through the joint meeting process, and they refined it accordingly based on, and also our office did some work on it based on the things that have been demolished. There were a couple errors that were discovered, and they refined it accordingly.
So when somebody goes for an application to demolish a building, are we doing any check to confirm that it's not, even though it may not be on the resource list, that it's not necessarily a historic resource?
I mean, no. Today, no, because there's no provisions for it. So, even with this provision, if it's on the list, that's when the check would be done. We wouldn't kind of go any deeper than that. We would reference it against the historic resource list. But there are provisions that allow for additions or subtractions to that list. In the draft ordinance, there would be a mechanism to do that.
So excuse me, if I own a property that is on the list due to architectural details or something, and I wish to change it, not in keeping with that historic, whatever causes that, I can be prevented from,
No.
I can't?
You can't, this ordinance, it does allow for, in terms of demolition, it does allow for a mechanism to deny like a demolition permit for something on this list.
Okay.
But the primary goal is to just allow the historic commission to be able to document the existing features before any of that work were to occur. Is that correct, Michael?
Yes. And anything that you would do to alter the structure would go through the township to begin with. We are an advisory board. So you would have to get all your permits, et cetera, through the township, or not through us. And you can change.
And that would not be
We have no
a,
control over what you do.
There would not be a reason to deny what I wanted to do. I I'm not trying
That's
to.
the township's decision, not ours.
Yeah, I don't think there would be a basis to do that.
This is not a HAR.
No.
Yeah, harms are different.
Yes. HAR is totally different.
So a HARP would actually require you to go through a specific review process and maintain the actual historical features of that property. This does not do that.
Down to the original colors, glass, paintwork, etc. We don't have any control over that.
So it just means like your group would come in and film, photograph, right, sketch everything, the home or structure before any changes or demolition is done.
And not necessarily even changes. It's basically to compile a study of the property before it's demolished. So if you think of what was Bishop's Lodge, Joe Boyd's house across from Holstead Apartments, which is now I think called Metropolitan. That property, which sat right on the road, was an old Drover's Inn. And before it was to be demolished, we went in with permission of the homeowners before any of these ordinances were even in effect, and were able to photograph the outside, the inside, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So we would have a record, because that house was originally photographed and recorded the same way in the Historical Society of Westchester. So that's what we're looking for, is just to maintain a record of what is here and what isn't here.
The ordinance, the proposed ordinance is specific to demolition. So it's really centered around, as Michael said, the demolition of a structure. Now, if you're making certain changes, you may require a demolition permit, which would result in having to go through this process. But generally speaking, it's going to be for the complete razing of a structure.
The ordinance also addresses demolition through neglect, okay? So not allow any of these properties that are listed here to allow to be able to just decay over time to the point where they have to be demolished. So it's addressing that issue as well.
And see, unlike, kind of to add on to what Mr. Helen was saying, and what I said earlier is it provides another tool for our enforcement officers. Under the property maintenance code, you're capped at a fine of, I believe it's $1,000. With a zoning violation, you can do a fine of, I believe it's $500 per day that the violation exists. Each day is a new violation. So it provides an even stronger enforcement mechanism specific for these properties.
Would you say that this is more to make people aware and appreciate what they have if you own it, and discourage them from making inappropriate changes without regulating it and such?
I don't know if I would go there. I would say it's more to, as Michael said, make sure that there's a record, and as Mr. Hellman was saying, make sure there's, kind of make sure that there's another tool to address, absentee landlords who allow properties to rot and decay, because that's what it's trying to avoid.
Yeah, there's nothing in here that would stop somebody, say, from adding an addition or something like that to their property that was on the list, or any other kind of changes that they would so decide to make.
And certainly, and along the same line, is the property owner given any documentation so that he understands what it is that makes his structure or whatever historic?
I don't know if there's any documentation, but we notified every person on this list and invited them to the meeting back in February so that they could understand what occurred. I mean, we had a decent turnout. The meeting, overall, the joint meeting went, I would say, very well. We had a strong turnout from the individuals there. We had a couple follow-up questions, and the Historic Commission and I both addressed the follow-up questions that we got. So anybody who is on this list received notification from the township about that and were made aware.
So there wasn't any resistance of any concern that came out of that?
There was some agitation, and I think that's like as far as I would go, but like there were a couple people afterwards who were kind of questioning why they were there, but the Historic Commission, I believe, addressed those and removed some that they kind of thought, this may not be appropriate to put them on.
Yes, this process has been going on since around 2017 or 18 with a number of iterations. On the historical commission, we have debated back and forth, put this in, take that out, happy homeowners, upset homeowners, etc. To me, if Mr. Pilagali approves this ordinance, I would say yes to it. Mr. Pilagali is a long, long time public servant to this township. He cares about the residents, probably as much as anyone as I know. If he says yes to this, I say yes to this, and I encourage the rest of you to do that. It may not be perfect, but that's how I feel. Thank you.
For the, just so the planning commission to aware for the joint meeting, we didn't send the mailing out like, a week or two before the joint meeting. We gave it to them in mid-December. So we gave everyone 2 months to review the ordinance. We posted it in the ordinance's resolution section, provided them a link where they could see everything. I outlined everything to them as to what the ordinance does and doesn't do. And they were given about 2 months to review it. I can tell you that in that 2-month time period, I think I got contacted by 5 of the property owners. It wasn't many who reached out. But they were given a good lead time in which to review everything and come to the meeting and answer their questions.
Okay, any other questions?
We'll make a note too that this is part of the comprehensive plan, this recommendation. That's bullet point 6 in the plan from 2019. So obviously it's been in process for a while, but I think it kind of fulfills that obligation and plan.
Okay.
And also, just to let you know, this is part of the process. The Chester County Planning Commission will also do a review, and then get it back to us, and then the Board of Supervisors will enter an advertisement for a couple of weeks, and then we'll come to a decision to adopt. So it's going to be good.
It's going to depend on the timeline with the updated zoning ordinance. So maybe it's a standalone amendment, or maybe just incorporated into the update. So it's just going to depend on the timeline.
Okay. Any other questions?
I'd move to recommendation. Proof for recommendation.
Anybody second? Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right. Next is any other public comment on?
Just a question with this historical. You know, I'm here for Forsyth Farms. What can we do to finally get it recognized it is a historical place? I mean, it is Underground Railroad. There's so much Quakers, the whole works. What do we have to do?
That property is under a court order from related to the conservatorship.
I know that. That I realize, and it's, the builder sure has done things nutsy. And he needs to fix the roof and get things straightened out. It's a shame. It's a real shame.
I don't disagree with you. The property, the judge issued his order on March 16th, 2026. So it is under a court order.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully this ordinance will stop anything like that from happening again.
Well, I'd hate to see us lose it.
Have we already been reaching out to a lot of these people to document a lot of this stuff already?
In what aspect?
Like everyone that's on this 2-page list, if they have historic stuff, is it worth starting to document now and not wait until?
It is already documented.
Okay.
There's a record in what was Historical Society, now is History Center.
Okay.
Martha Wolf took photos, et cetera, of her list.
Gotcha.
And we're somewhat hesitant to add to that list of photographs because then they become property of the Historical Center and not us.
Okay.
Which means we have to get a special permit and pay $25 for every picture we get out of it.
Gotcha.
This ordinance that you have here, it doesn't have the teeth of a harp.
No.
It's
no.
totally different. Harp's totally different. When you have a harp, they have control, total control. They can tell you what color to paint.
Right.
ordinances like this go to the Chester County Planning Commission. After you hear them, and then the commission, planning board.
Simultaneously.
Oh, so Chester County has,
They don't have, I don't believe that this has been transmitted to them yet, but generally speaking, it would go to them simultaneously.
okay, so their review, our planning commission doesn't ever get to see the Chester County review, just the supervisors see that before they vote on it?
Generally, yes.
You're talking for the zoning change or for the application?
For anything. Because
So
I know they do a really, really good job with their reviews, and I would, sometimes when I read them, I think, gosh, I wish this commission had a copy of the county's
So we get
review.
those with when the application hits the sole application stage. There's usually a letter attached.
Okay, so you do get this.
We get those, yes.
In the case of an ordinance, if the Chester County Planning Commission recommends any substantive changes, then it goes back to the review process, and they would see that as part of their additional review.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am, to your question, 905 West Town Road is on our list here, so it is recognized as a historical resource, and Mr. Pellegoni has documented that property to the best of his ability. So we've done that for that property.
I appreciate that comment. Thank you.
All right, any other comments, audience, or? Anybody motion to do that?
Yes, I would move to vote to approve it as written.
Oh, you had already done it.
We already did that.
You already moved that. Okay. That's fine. All right, nothing else? Motion to adjourn. All right, sorry, okay. All right, we are adjourned. Thank you.